not even just a straight deny pick, it's something that slots in pretty damn well to their own strat. So, well, not 100% sure, but Beast Coast, if they do it, okay, have really potentially put TeamTeam into a bit of an awkward spot, but now a shakeup in terms of who's laning where and what position we're seeing. The Lion comes out, so I think this is going to be Whisper on the core Tusk in this scenario.
I think it could be the Whisper Hoodwinked. I
Mm,
think I've seen him play that hero in the past. I think more or less it's that I'm certain it's going to be Schofield Puck because it's or rather Schofield Tusk because it just makes sense and they are allowed to pick the Darkseer because they go for this Lion, but you did a really smart thing on Beast Coast. You were able to pick up the line, which not only matches up well versus the Puck, a hero that I wasn't going to mention because they had that Tusk Hoodwink opener, and I didn't think they had that flexibility in their draft. But they say, okay, we don't really want the Darkseer. Can we swap this around? We want a better matchup versus the Puck. But not only that, we have this instant kill on the Darkseer illusion. I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly if the Darkseer illusion is a strong illusion or if it does actually die to that either Hex or the Mana Drain. But if that's how it works, then Beast Coast have masterminded this draft so far because I think me and you were both calling TeamTeam's picks. It's pretty telegraphed, and they do give that Darkseer Spearbreaker at the end of the day. But I feel like Beast Coast, they have a plan. They have a very good idea of what you're putting down, and you can't help but feel like Beast Coast are starting to be one step ahead of you.
mm-hmm. And Team at this point have kind of gotten a lot of what they wanted, but Beast Coast, as you were sort of mentioning, sort of saw this kind of telegraphed, and they could have straight denied it. That was an option to them, but this is one of the things that I feel Beast Coast, among those South American teams, does so well. Much like Undying does, they convince you that you're drafting what you want, and it might be what you want, but they're ready to counter it with their own draft, and that may be what Beast Coast are hoping for here. If we know what Team are going to do, let them do it, and we counterplay against it, as opposed to trying to break it up, and then who knows? Team could throw something at you that you then weren't expecting and weren't prepared for.
And that is sort of the issue with TeamTeam, where now I can tell you in order who's playing what on their team. Of course, when you have first pick, it is more about the relative strength of your heroes than it is catching your opponent's off guard, but they know exactly what to ban out. They get to last phase ban a Terrorblade versus Sammy Boy. It
Mm-hmm.
just feels like everything is kind of laid out for TeamTeam, and that was the issue yesterday. Like now I'm looking in the back of my mind, are they going to want to pick the Gyrocopter? Are they going to want to pick the Luna for Sammy Boy and then hope for the best? It just doesn't feel like that's exactly what they want here, but I feel like they're forced to do it.
Ooh.
Okay, they're going to go for the Ursa. It's a classic counter versus the Medusa. You keep those stacks up regardless. You naturally build the Diffusal Blade. He's going to have to play really well, though, because with that Diffusal Blade timing, I don't think you can afford to go Battle Fury, even though you are going to be pushed versus that Medusa's timings as opposed to your own. If he can get a 14, 15-minute Diffusal Blade, I'm feeling a lot more confident for TeamTeam, but they're so momentum-based right now. If a lot of their lanes don't succeed or if they start to fall behind, Beast Coast are going to have a very cozy ride into that 25, 30-minute mark.
Right. You do have the Dark Seer to maybe sort of give the Ursa a little bit of a push into those engagements as well with the Surge, so that could alleviate some of the concerns if Ursa does go for that Diffusal Blade first. You sort of wonder about his mobility afterwards. We've seen the Blink Dagger come out at times, so if he needs the Diffusal first and that pushes everything else back, maybe the Dark Seer is called upon to sort of help him initiate into those fights. So we'll have to see. Beast Coast, though, coming in with their final pick, they're going to take the Tiny. We just saw a fantastic mid-Tiny performance in that previous match. Chris Luck now
Diving.
hoping that he can put up a similar performance, similar numbers. If he can, life is going to get pretty rough for the Team side.
And you will see sort of the same issue when we did see this Tiny yesterday, where Chris Luck needs to be very clean in that early phase, and we might see Beast Coast start to run at their opponents very aggressively because once you get that Aghanim Scepter on Brax, everyone is sitting at a different HP pool. They're going to be sitting just out of reach of you, where you need to pick and choose your targets very cleanly, and that's where you do have the Hoodwink, you do have the line to sustain that magic damage. You've got very good single target burst, but you need to get those kills, finish them, move on to the next target. You cannot afford to really juggle these heroes at low HP pools, because if you don't hit those marks, they are going to walk away. They are going to disengage. And that's a hero that both the Puck and the Darkseer are very adept at. You could even say the Spirit Breaker is very good at getting in and out of these fights, even though once he's in, he should most likely die. But once you get to those higher HP pools, if you're able to hit those item timings, that's where Beast Coast might need to make a big shift in their game plan. We might see them start running at you for the first 15 minutes of the game and then stop for the next 10. And that's where TeamTeam can probably force their opponents to make some decisions that they otherwise wouldn't want to make, as well as TeamTeam having a much better lineup naturally at killing the Roche. That'll be the objective that TeamTeam might be able to force Beast Coast to come to the pit, to come out of their comfort zone. And that's where Beast Coast do need to be careful of the fights that TeamTeam can sort of force you to make, as well as having this Puck Darkseer combo. If we can see some vacuum pulls into the combo breaks, that is really going to be the high skill team fight execution that TeamTeam can definitely pull off, but it's really just if they can put what they've got down on the table for us. If they can execute, they've got a very cool draft. They've got some very good things going for them. But if they're not able to play at that very high level, then Beast Coast, again, they've got a really easy 25, 30-minute timing if they can get there.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, we say it, maybe not every time, but often enough, it does come down to that execution. But the TeamTeam lineup, even more so than usual, is going to have to hit a lot of those combos. Maybe not every single one of them, but that is their sort of best method of trying to control the field in a lot of these fights, as we are getting things underway here, or attempting to, but we do have some DCs coming out from that Beast Coast side. Whisper and K1, both going to be dropping out here. So, well, a slight connection issue on their end. Do want to point out, though, I think we mentioned it the other day as well, this is being played on US East. Beast Coast currently in the US for boot camping and vaccination purposes before TI. So it shouldn't be too long for them to get back in, as they're both sort of working on, I would hope, you know, stable and relatively low ping here. So always nice when we don't have to sort of swap server statuses in between, but the Beast Coast have everybody back in, and we will await the go-ahead from them. They're back in the server, but not quite ready to start.
Yeah, and we'll see if that does actually play to their advantage. But this is going to be, I hazard to say, a more powerful Beast Coast than TeamTeam might be ready to play against, again, because of that ping. These players are used to playing in those 80s, 90s, 100s, but now you're playing on 30, 20 ping versus TeamTeam. I just hope the TeamTeam, again, can play around their timings, play around their opponent's timings, because I feel like there is going to be that shift where once Dark Mago, or sorry, Chrysallik gets that Blink Dagger, he's going to be able to turn up the heat heavily. But if you can counteract that Blink Dagger timing with just some good farm on your side lane, or just good farm on both that Diffusal Blade being finished on the Ursa and the Aghanim Scepter finished on Brax, that's where, if any of Chrysallik's jumps do end up turning on him, and they 100% can, if he goes in for a kill and is not able to get it instantly, that is where Beast Coast lineup will start to falter. That's where they just need to be very clean, quicken out, get the kills, get the burst, and then reset. Because without their spells, they really aren't that strong. They aren't the most robust of heroes. It was sort of an issue we saw yesterday when we had Whisper on that Phoenix, where if he does fall behind, if he's not able to keep that lead out of lane, when you're not on a hero that does feel fantastic from the off lane, and Hoodwink with the lead, again, feels fantastic. It feels great when you have those levels. But if you're getting run at, she doesn't do much for you, much for your team at all.
Interesting play there from the Tiny. Just sort of ran across, got himself spotted out, but he had left the ward behind. So for the Ancient Apparition there on the TeamTeam side, Mike scouts it out, says he doesn't have a ward, or doesn't have a ward that I can see. And now Chrysallik has the chance to sort of pass it off to a teammate or throw it down himself. So a little bit sneaky. I think he pushed across the river to the point where he may suspect that there's a ward on their own side as well, but it doesn't really cost him that much. He pretty much regens entirely from that soul tower shot by the time the lane actually gets started. So just looking for that little bit of information. Always nice to see the tricks out from Chrysallik in that middle lane.
And that's where Chrysallik should have a relatively free time. At the same time, Ryoya should have a very free time. It's going to be a free farm lane. The highest skill thing that we might see from these players is possibly Ryoya throwing his illusory orb into the Tiny's camp once it gets a little bit higher level, trying to steal those small creeps. We also see neither mid laner, or neither team rather, playing around blocking the other mid laner small camp. So it should just be a farm fest across the board.
Yeah. We would need to see some spectacular stuff from one of the two, and maybe somebody being out of position for any sort of kill to happen here, which is typically the way that this sort of tiny puck lane plays out. But we'll keep our eyes on it moving forward, but side lanes are going to be where we're likely to see a little bit more action as we take a look up top. Schofield and Whisper, an interesting duo. You talked about this Hoodwink in the sort of off-lane role, always sort of nice when you're playing from a position of strength. That's kind of how every hero works, but Hoodwink in particular, really going to be sort of momentum focused here, and we'll see just how much damage they can put in. Mike is really always going to have to be careful on this apparition. If he steps too far forward, you're going to get hit up by the Bushwhack, by the slow from the Acorn. That'll lead Schofield in with really any ability to keep that Ancient Apparition locked down. So the positioning for Mike is going to be all important here. He obviously wants to get that harassment in, try and make life easier for the Ursa, but needs to do so without getting himself into trouble, as he does step away to throw down that sentry to block the camp.
And that's where they really do need to be cautious. If they do get punished in these lanes, it's going to feel absolutely terrible. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at mid just because Rio is getting a little bit aggressive, but you're not going to see too much action until really you have that second point in Bushwhack and that second point in Tag Team. But Ix Mike needs to constantly be cautious. That is the hero they're going to prey upon. Fortunately enough for Sammy Boy, he will be able to always leap over that shard. So Schofield needs to be incredibly patient. Otherwise, the Ursa always has that free way out.
Yeah, direct pressure onto Sammy. Just going to be kind of difficult, but they continue to sort of apply that pressure. Sammy, though, pushing forward with the Earth Shock. It's only level 1, but helps him get a Lancet or two, put some damage in onto Whisper and Schofield, forcing him to back off a little bit. The Hoodwink, though, honestly came to lane prepared. Whisper had 2 full stacks of tangos at the start of this lane, so he knew you're going to be sort of trading some damage back and forth as that Bushwhack connects onto Mike. They're going to get him with the tag team as well, slowing him up. Can they finish the kill? Yes, they can. Schofield gets it, and that's the exact play that we were sort of warning about just a moment or two ago. If Mike is that little bit too far forward, there's just way too much control and slow and damage. He's not able to make it away.
Yeah, exactly that. And fortunately, you are able to bring a lot of support to Sammy Boy. Full wand, a chainmail. It's going to put a lot of that pressure again off of that Ursa, but that's not their target. That's not who they're going to play on. In Schofield as well, not even getting a point in the Ice Shards. He knows this matchup. One of the best Tusks, again, in the region, probably in the world. It's always impressive to see him play this hero.
Yeah, no real reason to focus on the shards if Sammy can just get out of it, as they are going to look for the fight here. They do hit him up with the Bushwhack, and there's going to be the snowball to follow it up. Sammy, I mean, there's only so much he could do there. He did have the Earth Shock still, but it's not that much of a jump. I don't really think it would have gotten him away, even if he tried for it, and Mike at level 2 can't exactly force those heroes back, so this off lane for Beast Coast starting to get going, and ET, this is what you warned about. You do not want Whisper building up this kind of momentum, especially at your Ursa's expense.
And you see that Mike had a salve. He had tangos. There was more region. There's really no reason for Sammy Boy to sit as low as he was, but now this is going to become a much more difficult lane for Sammy Boy because you have that level 3 on both of these heroes. You see Mike trying to get something going stack-wise, but Schofield will berate him. They keep on doing a very good job of keeping this large camp body block. They already lost the sentry war there, but it just feels like Mike never has an opportunity to pull because as soon as he does, Sammy Boy takes 500 damage from these 2 heroes. This lane is starting to become a relatively big problem for TeamTeam.
This is one of the single worst feelings as a position 5 hero, right? Where if I stay in lane and harass, I'm sapping experience. If I try to step away and stack or pull, they're blocking me. So really, Mike is in a situation here where his options are so limited, and we're all of 5 minutes into the match as K1 able to take down Flea in the bottom lane. They'll finish off that Spirit Breaker. So it's just, Mike, you feel like there's just very little that he can actually do, as he is going to get jumped in on there, and right on cue, he gets picked off. Can't stand up against that damage. At least, though, his sacrifice does buy Sammy the time to fall back. So there's your silver lining, but this top lane for TeamTeam, it's not unsalvageable, but it sure as hell isn't fun right now.
as well as a bunch of couriers now coming out to the Beast Coast side, going to give more support, more health. That's the only limiting factor, really, for Schofield, is how much HP he can throw at these side laners,
K1's getting
because
chased
Whisper's not
down.
taking damage. Yeah, bottom. And Stinger, too.
Brax needs a little bit more. He is not
They
quite
got
fast
him.
enough, but yeah, okay. Flea was charging in just to make sure, but Brax was able to get it done. So Flea gives his life earlier on, but the second he's back up, they charge in again, and K1, after surviving the first fight, was not at full capacity for the second round. Brax finds both of those kills, and this is what you want from the Darkseer. Really crowd up on that Medusa, don't give her a lot of room to breathe, and I'm not really sure you can anticipate getting kills like that, but the fact that you are able to pull that off really puts TeamTeam in a more comfortable position down bot.
And that's where, even though K1, of course, sitting at a very high last hit mark, he's been eating a lot of those ion shells to try and contest Brax for those last hits. And Brax is falling behind just a little bit, but once he has this secondary mana item, which I can only imagine is coming out pretty soon here, he's going to feel completely confident in playing in this lane now. You've gotten over the hump. Unfortunately, top lane has still not gotten any better for Sammy Boy. You can only give him so many salves. You can only do so much for your Ursa. It's just that hard of a lane.
And this is, at a certain point, starting to exceed what I was sort of envisioning from this duo. Whisper and Schofield are just playing this so well, and it's not like Sammy Boy's making egregious mistakes here. He's not massively out of position or anything like that. It's just this matchup is so rough for him. Whisper and Schofield just keep on going at him, maybe not at every possible opportunity, but often enough where you see Sammy Boy here, he is looping through the tree line just to make sure that he doesn't get hit up there so he can pull that creep wave back. It's just not a good time for him, but his teammates continue to make plays elsewhere on the map. Brax and Flea striking again, this time in the south side jungle as they pick off Stinger, so at least you're getting that. Your teammates elsewhere are trying to take advantage of the fact that the Ursa's lane is kind of getting sacked a little bit here, but of all the heroes to sacrifice farm on, that's not great for the Ursa. But yeah, K1's going to get jumped in on that wall. I don't actually think it clipped K1. That's a bit unfortunate there. Brax's placement is off, so they don't find that kill. Meanwhile, back up top. Oh, they're jumping in. They've got Mike. Whisper is going to be falling here. He got the sharpshooter off onto the Ursa, though, so he gave it a try on Chris Luck, but that's only a level 1 tree grab, so the damage, not quite enough to get the kill. And now you've got Schofield on the run. He's being charged, though, so they have the vision on him. Ryoya comes in with that orb, and that snowball will delay his death, but at this point I'm pretty sure he's going down. You get the bash in from Flea. The damage continues to be deployed here, and Schofield is going to give it a go. He does create a nice little distraction for a few extra seconds, but eventually he does get taken down. So the fight around the top tower is kind of going to even out a little bit there as TeamTeam pick up the kills on the back end.
And that's where Sammy Boy needs to get that pressure alleviated off of him. And with Schofield out of the lane, Whisper got a little bit greedy, just walking back to lane like normal. Has to use a sharpshooter. Not the longest cooldown, but
there's the charge.
You're gonna get dove.
Flea's in. Sammy's low, though.
Not
He
a
wants...
bash.
Okay, doesn't need to be careful at all. Never mind. Jumps in with the... Oh, with the Earth Shock as Whisper goes down. Schofield... He was trying to make something happen there. I think he's just trying to buy time for the Tiny to move into position, and Chris Luck is coming. Sammy Boy, though, very wisely already retreating. So they're going to get Mike, but they're going to get Mike. There we go. They will get him, but Sammy, I said he retreated, but he didn't actually get entirely out of the lane. Now he may end up paying for it. Schofield is dropping a little low himself, but he baits him in with the Fairy Fire. Excellent play from the Tusk. Sammy thought, maybe I can get this kill before I die. Instead, Schofield gets away, and Chris Luck picks up another.
And I'll be honest, I think he was going to be fine. He still had that Earth Shock. He could go over the shards if Schofield decided to capture him, but really just lies in his own bed. Says that Titani's still here. My bad, guys. Gonna pop in Rage, do as much damage to Schofield, which is more or less already healed back up. And now the top lane is completely vacated. The Ursa decides that I have to lane now with my Darkseer, and this is going to put pressure on Brax to where does this Darkseer go now? You have so many heroes in the bot lane, and K1's already gone. He's already made the very simple rotation that we see a lot of Medusas make, where they overtake that mid lane and then just retreat to the triangle, where now K1's going to be completely happy with that trade.
Yeah. K1 rotates into the jungle, says, I'll see you boys in about 10 to 15, and well, Beast Coast are going to try to find kills elsewhere as they move in onto Ryoya down bot. That's just too fast of a move. Ryoya on the puck, normally hard to lock down, but he had no idea. Completely blindsided by that, although they did have the ward down. It just didn't spot it out in time, and well, this is what you want from Beast Coast. You're starting to get the tiny going. The supports are beginning to rotate a little bit more, and you can apply pressure and create that space for K1. So we'll see how much further they can really go here. They're starting to invade that east side triangle a little bit. Do they have... They have sentries, but, well, I don't really think Stinger wants to block any camps right now, and I think they're fairly certain TeamTeam haven't set up vision in this area, because as of right now, why would they? But elsewhere on the map, Schofield gonna get himself hit up by the Dream Coil, but he just turns around. Oh, man. He knows what he's about. Tag team into Walrus Punch, just knocks Ryoya into the stratosphere, and the damage from K1 once he lands is enough to secure the kill. Ryoya, much like Sammy Boy, he's not having a whole lot of fun in this match right now.
And that's a death bottom, now spiraled into a TP, into another death top. And this is where, what can you do with your successful lane bottom? Flea really hasn't been able to make any more plays aside from his kill on Whisper in the top lane. And now it's your Coil on a Tusk. Coil versus Tusk is so terrible. You can't cast your Snowball, you can't cast your key survival spell, but Schofield simply says, okay, tag team Walrus Punch, there's 90% of your HP, and Stinger's there with the follow-up Hex. It's like they crafted, again, this perfect lineup that's going to make Ryoya a little bit sad, and when you see him starting to fall behind, you're not going to be able to play at the same speed that this very quiet Tiny has, where you have the Blink Dagger now finished up on Chrysaluck. He's going to start to make even more plays around the map, where TeamTeam, they're still struggling to find that playmaker.
Yeah, and now you run into another concern, right? We were talking about it a little bit when Sammy started to rotate down to the bottom lane. If he takes the bottom lane, where does Brax go? If Brax rotates into the jungle, then where does Ryoya go? They're starting to run out of space. They are looking to alleviate that problem, though, as they move into the south side jungle, but they did get scanned up while they moved into that area. So this is far from safe for them. They did get a scan of their own that's actually going to see this even through the smoke, so I don't think they're going to get caught out here. Ryoya, though, has got to be so careful. He is going to get jumped in on Chrysaluck's in with the avalanche toss play, and Stinger, yeah, he's making sure. Nothing left to chance. Finger of Death comes out. Ryoya does get taken down, so they actually did need that damage, and now look at that. Schofield, perfect shards onto the Darkseer. They're going to hex him up here as well, so Brax really can't get out. They actually snipe him out. Whisper gets it with the sharpshooter, so 2 cores taken down. Flea, yeah, you don't want to finish that charge. He is going to cancel it in time, but East Coast, they're just playing so well right now. TeamTeam, even when they do try to get aggressive, the aggression's getting thrown right back in their face.
And you look at K1's rotations, he has enough time to go to the mid tower, get Glyph for free, and doesn't miss any creep camps. His role is more or less done. And a few spells there on the illusion. And
this is an interesting response. Schofield buys time, but the Nether Strike will lock him down. Actually knocks him back into range for those Cold Feet stuns to come out. So they find one. Now they get the Dream Coil onto Chrysaluck, but they'd have to go up the ramp. That is so dangerous for them, and I think they suspect or just straight up know that there were reinforcements there. That ward doesn't get them vision at the exact moment, but between these two, they can sort of piece the picture together, see that Beast Coast had pretty much everyone there they would have needed for the fight. So they'll be content with just the one. Schofield gets picked off. That's going to have to be good enough for now, but well, if you're TeamTeam, you need more plays like that one. You need to start getting your teammates a little bit more involved to get those cores sort of up and fighting, because I just feel like they can't all be sort of farming right now. If they're all doing so, then you're letting K1 really just do whatever he wants over on the other side.
And that's where, again, he has these so super clean farming rotations. He goes for the Sanji and Yasha. He feels like he's not going to need to play that split push build. He goes for the Sanji and Yasha versus a Puck. He just could care less. He wants to be that stat king, and he's got a butterfly queued up. If he gets a butterfly before Sammy Boy can get his substantial item, we're in disaster territory for the side of TeamTeam. You see him right now, still 1,000 gold away from his diffusal blade on this Ursa. It just feels like they're going to start to get crunched further and further. Same with that Ags timing coming out from Brax. He's had the most clean game out of anyone on TeamTeam, but there's just not that many plays that he can make right now. The only player that he can really effectively use his wall against is that Medusa. And there's just no catalyst. There's no really good way for him to start the fight, because it's just been Ryoya being sort of the reactive Puck. There haven't been too many fights that they've started on their own terms. And they're charging top.
Yeah, Stinger is the target, but oh boy. Turns around with the quick Hex, but K1's actually the one who's going to get hit up here. They do hit with that point-blank Ice Blast. The problem is the Stone Gaze really just turns Sammy away. He's now hit by the Bushwhack into the Sharpshooter, and Sammy, you got to try to get out of here. He's going to pop the ult. Nice play for now to try and get back, but they're going to throw Stinger forward. He gets the Earth Spike into the finger. Oh, Tiny Airlines coming through for him. Sammy taken down, and now Mike is sort of left as the lone man still in that fight. So it's just all coming together for Beast Coast right now. This Tiny playing so well, realizing I can't get into range myself, but I sure as hell can throw the Lion forward, and they're going to be able to find that one. But Schofield's getting hit up on the other side of the map. He dodges the charge, though, with the snowball. Just big plays coming out. That leaves him with no defensive purposes here, but he could throw down the shards. At this point, though, he's kind of just waiting for reinforcements. Stinger comes in. There's going to be the shards. Flea will be caught. He does have the charge, though, so he could get away. Needs to go before he loses too much mana, though, as he is going to get hit up now by the Earth Spike. But without a core hero, don't know if there's much damage, but here comes Chris Luck. Cue up the Jaws theme he wants in. Can he catch up in time, though? He already used the Blink. But now Flea charging back. They are going to drop the wall from Brax. It's a decent play to start things off. Schofield, though, isn't taking enough damage to be finished off, but now that Ion Shell will begin to tick him, as I think Schofield will die, but you got Chris Luck a kill in that scenario, so I feel like if you're Beast Coast, you're still going to be relatively happy with that one, but at least TeamTeam are able to extract something with the 1-for-1.
And I still have this concern in the back of my mind as I take a look at last hit denies and just see K1 doubling over everyone. You will have this Diffusal Blade finally finished up on your Ursa, but I'm really curious as to why Brax hasn't made that rotation to the top lane, has just sort of sat down here and understands that as long as he's down here, someone has to come bottom. Someone has to push in the wave. It takes pressure off of everywhere else, but it feels like you're taking pressure off everywhere else that K1 is taking. He's encapsulating pretty much this entire side of the map, no one else playing with him, but he's completely okay with that, and he's going to bump into Mike here, and Mike's going to be fine, gets a courier, and TP's out, but there's no aggression on this Medusa, where I feel like that wall is your tool to actually do something versus her, but instead, it just feels like this Medusa has a very big free pass. Fortunately, you do have the Diffusal Blade coming out to the Ursa right now as we speak, but if you're not able to make a play pretty soon here, this Medusa is going to ball out of control.
Yeah. Team feeling a little bit of pressure now to try and make a move. The question is, who leads that charge? You do have the Diffusal up on the Ursa. That is certainly going to be helpful, but Aurelia's not quite to the Blink Dagger. He does at least have the Witchblade for some more damage, and as you mentioned, Brax still trying to finish off that Axe. He is so close now, though, so maybe this is the play. Once you have that Ion Shell upgrade, your lineup as a whole is going to get a little bit more formidable, so that might be the move for them, but over on the other side, did just see, yeah, Chris Luck bought a Dagon. That's some big baller stuff right there.
And it's, I mean, it's a very smart pickup because now you can focus down that Medusa illusion even faster. And I'm looking at this Medusa, looking at his items. He almost has a full butterfly. As soon as he gets a little more gold here, just 300 more, you have a butterfly to meet your Ursa's Diffusal Blade that you are still trying to get a play going. This is the second smoke that Sammy Boy has in not farming. They're going to try to sneak a Roche underneath the nose of Beast Coast, it looks like, but I don't think they realize who they're trying to kill. He just butterfly, but no shield.
Okay.
He got silence.
Silence comes in. Ice Blast connects. K1 didn't see it coming. Perfect play from TeamTeam. Takes them a little while longer than we had originally anticipated. As you mentioned, that was the second smoke, but they hit their mark. They get the kill, and now Roche is pretty much free. There is no one even on this side of the map for Beast Coast. Massive move from TeamTeam. They're going to get the kill. They're going to get the Aegis. Potential turning point for them.
And even baiting their opponents a little bit because Beast Coast, they want to make the plays, but I don't think they have any business being here.
Yeah, Chris Luck is not in a great spot. No BKB to protect him, so I think he's going to get taken down. They hit him with the Dream Coil. Stinger gets taken down as well, so 2 kills and the Aegis. Nice snipe from Whisper, though. Long range hit to take down Mike, so they at least get something for their trouble, but in the end, that fight is a 3-for-1 with 4 Zoomers taking Roshan and the Aegis. So really, I mean, they get everything that they wanted out of that engagement. They even get the tier 1 mid. This is genuinely a game-turning play right now. And Beast Coast, they got to be careful. They're trying to regroup, hoping to quickly swing things back into their hands. But if this play backfires on them, they're going to completely lose their lead. As Sammy wants into the fight, he's got the Aegis, but that Aegis is already gone. Wow.
Yeah, this is not a good situation now. You need to get an escape plan for Sammy Boy. He needs a little bit more support. They have the shards. They don't want Flea. They want the Ursa instead. You
like the discipline there from Beast Coast. They could have just taken the easy kill, but they try to keep the chase going. They're not able to get onto Sammy, though, so now they'll turn their attention back to Flea, but by that point, Flea's gotten away. So you go from potentially sacrificing himself to getting everybody out of there safely, while Schofield's actually a little low on HP, but Singer blinking forward, getting down the stun. The Arshards come out as well. Brax is going to get trapped up inside of it. They get the Hex down into the Bushwhack as well. Chrisluck, meanwhile, blinking in, going for the toss into the Ava. They've caught out Mike, and they salvage quite a bit. Ryoya, oh, that's risky. If anyone from Beast Coast has sort of seen that one coming, they could have punished it, and they might actually still get the punish. They get the Bushwhack down. Earth Spikes there. Snowball into Walrus Punch. Can Brax make it out? Or excuse me, Ryoya. And the answer is no, regardless of which player it is. Ryoya gets taken down. Schofield, I think, died to creeps and a tower shot there, but that is an extra kill piled on. Ryoya, I understand what he was trying to do. It's just you were a little bit too low on health, I think, to make the clean getaway.
And it is the death rattle from Schofield, but you definitely get really greedy there, going for that pick, trying to kill the Tusk, missing the Waning Rift. It just does not feel fantastic. And you see immediately, as soon as they got that Aegis, Beast Coast did not care. They could care much less if Sammy Boy has that, because again, he's fallen behind so far in farm. It feels like this Ursa doesn't really have a spot in this game just yet. We're going to need to see him getting a BKB, getting a Blink Dagger, getting probably that
This
Sludge
could be a bait play, though. Yeah, that's a problem. Lee, I mean, he's trying his best to make something happen. That is what you need to do as the Spirit Breaker, but they didn't have the vision there. They thought it was just Chris Luck, but he had backup, and to be honest, Chris Luck actually turns the play around himself. He knows the charge is coming. He gets the Avalanche down perfectly, and that's just Beast Coast really kind of styling on their opponents a little bit there. Team, they have to keep trying, though. That's sort of the downside of this. Much like we were talking about in that previous series, Game 2, where we were talking about Hikori getting forced into having to make these tough decisions, Beast Coast have done the same thing now to Team. If you sit back and play passively, you're not using your Spirit Breaker effectively, and you're giving K1 more time to farm. But if you do push in, you run the risk of having that aggression turned against you, which relatively consistently that has been the case. Beast Coast has been able to come out ahead in a lot of these fights, and now they're starting to take control of the map as well.
And once you have this Blink Dagger on the Darkseer flying out to him presently, you might be able to get your miracle play. You might be able to get those big team fights going for you, but you can't help but feel that Beast Coast have prepared themselves already. They've really steeled themselves going forward to play against your lineup, and that's where I don't know if this is going to be enough. That's why you see Team already making the smart decision, going for this more split push oriented lineup. Really, I think he's going to miss the creep wave just barely, so I'm curious as to what he's doing, because his team is smoking. They're looking for the fight, but
yeah, they really need the puck here. He does TP back to the middle lane, but that's going to leave him still a step or two behind, and
Stinger,
decision time. What do? Back into the wall. Nice play. They get down the Dream Coil as well, but the Ice Blast actually doesn't really hit onto too much, and now Sammy Boy's already dead, and they just have to run. Flea's going to try to get as far away from this as he can, but the Yule Scepter is going to lock him down. They actually throw Whisper over onto Brax as well. They're looking for the more valuable of those kills as the Bushwhack will pull the Darkseer back in. K1's looking to dish out the damage, and Brax, he does at least bring Schofield down. Now can he get away? He's going to try to surge himself out of the fight, but the Bushwhack from Whisper connects. They will find that kill. And at this point, Team, I mean, they've taken down the two supports, but really, they're just kind of fighting around the edges here. They can't get directly into the heart of that lineup. K1 and Chris Luck, they're just a little bit too tough.
And that's where just losing Sammy Boy that early feels absolutely awful. It looked a little bit sketchy there. Fortunately, K1 actually walked back into the wall. Otherwise, Flea knocked him out of the vacuum. Just kind of unlucky, but... Oh, Crystal cliffed himself.
Uh-oh.
Nice
he's
cancel
stuck up here.
Flea. That was really good.
Can he TP out, though?
No more
Oh.
Oh, no.
Didn't have the charge, didn't have the Dream Coil. That's so painful. They had an opportunity to just sort of fall into their lap. Chris Luck just accidentally sort of gets himself stuck up there, but there's your opportunity. They weren't able to make it happen. But if your team, gotta keep on being on the lookout. If plays like that happen again, that could be their way back into it. We were talking about it earlier on in this match. They find one kill onto K1. It led them into the Roche pit. They took down the Aegis. They got 2 kills to follow it up. Obviously, after that, things kind of fell apart a little bit for them, but all it takes is maybe one mistake from Beast Coast, and Team could maybe not even things up, but certainly put together a little bit of a surge to try and cut into the deficit. So Beast Coast got to be careful on the execution here still.
And that's where we need to see more coming out of Braxton Flea. It's hard to say because that is your stun. That is your combo. I don't think you can rely on Ryoya at this point in the game. He's going for a Kai Sanj. We're not seeing really either of the greedy builds coming in from this puck. He didn't go the phase shift attack, so we're not going to see that Scotty Daedalus build, but we're also not seeing too much magic damage coming out from him. So really, a lot of the team heroes are in a very difficult position where nothing that they build is going to solve all of their issues, and they have a much simpler game plan on the side of Beast Coast. Keep Hector alive, keep giving him the buffs, keep giving him the damage, save him with Snowball. You see how close the Tusk is playing to his Medusa, and K1 has enough confidence to play up on this tier 1 tower, or on this tier 3 tower, and forces everyone else back to the base on the team side. And actually, okay, Chrysalik's going to get spotted in the mid lane, but they all get forced back into the base, and then Beast Coast is going to take all of the farm now. This is a terrible situation for
So
Team
much
Team.
control for them. Speaking of which, they jump in onto Flea. Finger of Death comes out. Schofield finishes the kill, so... not the biggest value kill, so if you're Team, you could probably afford to lose him. He does have buyback up on that Spirit Breaker, but as you said, this is what Beast Coast are going to have to do the rest of the way forward. They just push a lane, they force a response. Team can't just let K1 just whack away at that tower really uncontested, so you have to bring enough resources to that fight to actually convince K1 that there's enough of a threat to leave, which means you can't exactly go split pushing out any other lanes. If you need 3 to 5 heroes to TP back to deal with that push, then that's what you have to do. You're just forced into it, and Beast Coast will just continue to sort of play their game. K1 just about done now with that Scotty. So, more stats, more damage, more just pain in general if Team ever do try to push into that full 5v5.
And the real issue is, as soon as he gets that Aghanim Scepter, going to pair it with the Shard, that's going to be around the same timing that next Roshan could be respawning, and I don't think that will be... I think that'll be it, more or less, actually, for Beast Coast, because then your Spirit Breaker can't go in. Every single time you do the Charge of Darkness, you're going to get hit back with that Snake. I think same thing with a few of their spells here. You do have the normal punch for Brax, but yeah, Sammy.
Sammy absorbs that first hit. Ryoya, meanwhile, tried to get onto the back line. Silenced up Whisper for a little while, but not able to do too much more. And now Ryoya has no way out. Wow. He used everything on the initial play, so he wasn't able to pull back out. At least they get Schofield over in that sort of middle lane, but Ryoya's dead, and he actually doesn't have buyback. That's going to be the real sort of killer for them. He is about 700 or 800 gold short, so it's not like they can instantly get him that kind of money. And over on the other side, Schofield did buy back, so he is rapidly rejoining his teammates. And Beast Coast are looking for the high ground push.
They just got level 20 as well on Hector, so if they give him the opportunity, he is just going to snake you. He's going to get that mana back, and without the puck, they are really lacking here. I think that's why you see Chrysalek just saying, okay, I don't do that much physical damage with my build, but I will help you push down this tower. We're going to at least get this. We're going to see them, yeah, prioritize the range tracks. I don't think they can stay for the full set, but Team are acting like they're so scared. They're acting like they don't want to jump without Ryoya, and the scaredness is really making it
Charge gets canceled. Nice back wall, though. Ice Blast is coming through, too. This is a decent bit of damage to start us off, but, well, they're starting to lose momentum. Flea gets taken down. That sharpshooter hit doesn't actually connect onto anything, but a parting shot more than anything else. It allows Beast Coast to fall back, so you get one more kill onto Flea. Everybody gets themselves away, but if you're Team, Melee Rax is still standing mid. That's got to count for something. You're able to sort of hold off on losing the entirety of that lane. You now have Sammy back in. You've got Ryoya up and running, so maybe this is their moment. If they can catch some stragglers on the backside, then something good could come of it. But right now, they're not really on a direct collision course with any of those opposing heroes.
And we saw it there on the high ground. The reason that this draft felt so dominating from Beast Coast, they let this Darkseer happen. As soon as that wall comes down, immediately hexed, immediately mana drained, doesn't even have the shard yet. He does not care about your Vac wall. He does not care about your illusions. And you don't have to worry about this Medusa. The entire reason you picked this Darkseer as a counter has been completely negated by, again, I think Beast Coast lulling you into this disadvantage in the draft. And now Roche, an objective that Team should be the team forcing, should be the team who's able to play around this advantage, is now going to be forced to give it all away to the Medusa. And you were struggling to kill Medusa one time before. I don't know how you're going to kill her twice. You're going to get it scouted by that AA Blast, and it's just too late. Flea might go in for a steal. It's a little bit wild. Doesn't even attempt it. Cancels it. No items coming in from your Spirit Breaker either. Doesn't even have the worst KDA. He's 0, 5, and 10. It doesn't feel that bad. when you look at the KDAs, but it's just no game, no really good strategy for dealing with this Medusa at this point. And you see net worth doubled over anyone. This is all Hector's wheelhouse. This is his game to sort of kill everyone. It's a 1v9 almost. I don't even think his teammates need to have as outstanding a performance as they've had. He's just that far ahead of anyone else.
Yeah, he is playing exceptionally well. Of course, a lot of that comes because his teammates were able to buy him so much time. We talk about the Tiny in particular here, 4-1-12 still for Chris Luck as he daggons a creep, but he was so strong in the early stages, started making those rotations. They got Whisper going as well on that core Hoodwink, 10-2 and 7 for him right now. So we talked about this in the draft. Beast Coast, sort of in a similar vein to what we've seen from Undying over the past couple of months. They just bait you into going for a lineup that they know they can counter, regardless of how comfortable your own lineup sort of feels. As Flea, okay, sneaky play onto the back line. He and Sammy go in, but there's that snowball buying so much time. Walrus Punch now coming out as well. Sammy, though, really not taking a whole lot of damage, at least for the time being, but once that ult wears off, now he has that damage absorption taken away, and he is going to get locked down and finished off here. Does he have money for buyback at this point? He's about 10 gold short, so he will be coming back at some point, but not immediately. And we'll see what Beast Coast do. They're going to push their way mid. Chris Luck wants the kill. He's able to get it. Ryoyo will fall. Buys back quickly. Braxo hits him up with the normal punch into the charge, but the Yule Scepter used defensively. Chris Luck is going to be able to spider legs over the wall. No, he's not. Vacuum pulls him back in. Chris Luck dead, but for Zoomers, they still just can't deal with K1. This is always going to be the issue. They took down one of the cores, but Medusa's still got 2 lives to work with. They're really just throwing everything that they have left at this, and K1 is just standing there, absorbing all of it, right-clicking his way through, and it just feels like TeamTeam kind of desperation mode at this point. But Sammy, he's going to go in. If he can get through the Medusa once, maybe something good can happen as they do get the normal punch down. K1 down to about half his HP. The mana shield is starting to break as well, and they need a little bit more. Okay, they found the first kill, but now Sammy, he's pretty much on empty. He's got to fall back just as the Medusa's coming up. So they got 1 kill, but not going to be able to do much more than that. But hey, that stops the push again. TeamTeam really sort of drawing this one out as best as they can. They lose the tier 3 top, but the racks are still standing. Some buybacks had to be used there, but you live to fight another day.
And with that, you also see just the Spirit Breaker. The matchup, Cold-Blooded, is so effective versus you. You almost have now that point booster, going to be the last component for the Aghanim Scepter, and then Flea doesn't get to play anymore. You do have a guaranteed way of popping that Cold-Blooded, but it's just such a direct counter to the Spirit Breaker. Now you're going to be stunned for 1.5 seconds every single time you charge the Medusa. It just does not feel fantastic, and he knows about this play. Flea's just here.
Teammates are coming, though. There's going to be the Nether. Nope, cancels it out. Okay, that just baited the Stoke Gaze. Very nicely done by Flea. The problem is they have problems elsewhere. Chris Luck initiates onto Ryoyo, hits him up with the Avatos. That buys time for the Sharpshooter to channel out. And at this point, TeamTeam really starting to lose it. But Brax does get in for the back wall combo. The problem is no one else is here. They've all sort of backed away. Kind of feels like they were maybe not fully on the same page on that one. It's a nice initiation from Brax, but at that point, it's a little bit too late. The damage output is not there to follow it up.
And Stinger is so good, so fast. Gets both of the very strong illusions. Stinger's actually fighting right now for his life in this wall. Stinger, oh my goodness. He's got a TP out. Okay, good TP.
He fingered his own illusion and then had a TP. That's just a little funny, but at least he doesn't die. That's what really matters there. And that Finger of Death, not on a very long cooldown at this point, so he is going to be just fine, but yeah, at a certain point, if you end up dying to your own illusion there as a Lion after the fight ends, you're going to get 4 or 5 tips thrown your way. So, saves the KD, saves his pride, and his teammates are going to be able to clean up inside of the base. Although, Flea right now, this is quite the distraction. He's got 2 heroes tracking him down, and he is going to be able to charge away. So, I don't really think that matters too much. You still see Beast Coast, yeah, doing whatever they want inside of that base. So, being down 2 of their heroes really isn't affecting them too much. But if you're TeamTeam right now, that's really all you can do. Have Flea go out there, try to create a distraction, and just really hope for the best.
And it did get a little bit clowny. It did feel a little bit strange. They really just wanted to run at the Ursa there. You saw K1 for a moment just being like, no, I'm not going to go kill the racks. I'm going to go run at other heroes. But with this build, with the way he set himself up, there is no way to kill this Medusa at this point. Plain and simple. The only way they kill Medusa is if K1 is maybe on this corner of the map, surrounded by 5 heroes with all of his teammates in the opposite corner of the map. And then it's probably a 50-50 with who comes out of that as the winner. It just is that bad of a game at this point. Flea, with the spider legs, was able to survive there from Schofield's capture, but at the end of the day, I think Beast Coast just got too much of a freebie in that early game, and they had a really strong early game, I think, because of their individual skill, but
Chris Luck.
TeamTeam.
He's getting bashed around here in this fight, and they actually do take him down. Mike with the Ice Blast. That is very impressive from TeamTeam. Chris Luck maybe a step too far forward there looking for the kill, and they managed to punish him for it. Nice play from TeamTeam. The problem is they need more. They need to still deal with K1, and they really don't have the means to do so, or maybe they do. Brax, good back wall coming in. Sammy, though, already down to about a third of his HP, and he has to run away from the Stone Gaze, so this really is not going to get much better for him. Whisper's actually going to track him down with the Bushwhack, and that is going to be Sammy Boy down for the count. No buyback available, and at this point it feels like TeamTeam really just scrambling to put together anything that they have left, but they realize, not a whole lot left to work with. The GG gets called in Beast Coast. Oh, closing one out. Impressive stuff here in Game 1.
And I'll be honest, a pretty good decision, I think, from TeamTeam. They were getting clowned on just a little bit there. I think Stinger, the biggest clown of Beast Coast, with that 1v5 in the mid lane with him and himself and a wall of replica. But just incredibly clean from Beast Coast. I think they took that top advantage and really pressed it all across the map. I don't think they realized how difficult this Ursa's lane was going to be whenever they slotted around their heroes, whenever Whisper was going to end up on that hoodwink, and just a little bit too much aggression coming out from Beast Coast. Of course, you have that middle of the phase, though, where we're both talking about Darkseer, we're both talking about all the carries, because neither team really prioritized those core bans up until the last phase where you knew that Sammy Boy needed something. But Beast Coast, they grab their hero that little bit sooner. They're able to get this Medusa on K1. They're absolutely confident with it, as well as getting to last pick this Lion in the phase where you're no longer afraid of this Darkseer. You get that slight counter pick. You get the 4th pick Lion versus Darkseer and Puck. It's just too good from Beast Coast. And at that point, TeamTeam, they slot in the Spirit Breaker. They're committed. As soon as you saw Medusa that early, I could have sworn we would see Flea on his almost patent-pending Grimstroke. I always see him get an ag so early into the game. And it's a strong illusion. It's not something that you can deal with, but I think TeamTeam just put all their eggs in one basket. In Beast Coast, they had all the answers.
And yeah, I mean, TeamTeam, on paper, they drafted something that looked pretty good. The Ursa, in theory, goes up well against the Medusa. If you can get that Diffusal, you've got the Spirit Breaker Darkseer that we were talking about in the draft itself, but Beast Coast play that so perfectly. They give just enough in that draft to make TeamTeam feel like they have sort of gotten the drop on them, and then turn it around on the back end of the draft. They really baited TeamTeam into, as we were mentioning before, something Beast Coast know how to play against. So that's just the way that Beast Coast sort of operates, and sort of lost in all that. We talked about the Lion pick being great, K1 does well in the Medusa, but Whisper being swung onto that Hoodwink, he ends the game 13-2-12 on a position 3 Hoodwink. That just, to me, really kind of encapsulates everything you need to know about this match for Beast Coast. They were ready with a nearly perfect solution to whatever TeamTeam tried to put together.
Yeah, and I think really we needed to get more involved in that top lane just a little bit sooner, because Whisper on this Hoodwink, you should feel like a target. You should feel like the hero that's getting preyed upon by this SB, but instead they were more confident in playing with each other, playing in the bot lane, and of course you are going to farm fast around that Darkseer when you have that other player to put your shell on, to have him move around the map. But I just feel like the pressure was a little bit misplaced from TeamTeam, and of course you're playing versus the big boys, you're playing versus Beast Coast on 20 ping. It's just a little bit too much for their team, I think, right now.
Yeah, so Game 1, go in the way of Beast Coast. Strong performance from them to kick off this series, but we do have one more match coming up here. Game 2 will offer TeamTeam a shot at redemption, and Beast Coast a chance to continue boosting themselves up in those standings. If they can get the 2-0 here at TeamTeam's expense, they move up into, I believe, a tie for second place. So quite a lot on the line. Beast Coast trying to solidify their place at the top. TeamTeam just hoping to try and get some momentum going as we're really moving into the back half of this group stage run. So we'll see what both teams have up their sleeves for that second match. Game 2 between Beast Coast and TeamTeam going to be coming your way in just a few minutes.